He left me after 27 years for someone younger, and then moved her into my house. Imagine another woman cooking in your kitchen, sleeping in your bed, living your life. People say, silence is weakness, but sometimes silence is the loudest battle cry. I didn't scream or fight the way you expect. I quietly reclaimed everything that was mine. Before we dive in, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more stories like this. I was 50 when Dennis told me he didn't love me anymore. 27 years were tossed aside, and weeks later, Sienna was in my kitchen. What hurt most was seeing her use the same stove I made his favorite stew on. That house, my overtime shifts, my sacrifices, now felt like someone else's trophy. I kept quiet, but my heart started planning its own reply. The day I fetched old boxes, Sienna opened the door with a salon smile. "You must be Margaret." I nodded. "Yes, I used to live here," and walked straight past her perfume cloud. Dennis had swapped photos, cancelled my magazines, painted over memories with cheap beige. But paint can't cover everything. Grief seeps through cracks you ignore. I left carrying more resolve than cardboard, friends said. Start over. Easy to say when walls still echo your children's laughter. I'd budgeted through layoffs and patched leaks alone while Dennis worked late. Now I was being erased from my own story like a typo. I didn't shout or beg. I simply watched and waited. Because waiting can be a weapon when you hold the right card. Inside an old envelope I found the house deed, our names side by side. Dennis must have thought I'd tossed it years ago. But I never throw away legal paper. Half that house was still mine, legally and emotionally. In that moment, something small but unstoppable shifted inside me. He believed changing locks ended our chapter, but the paperwork proved otherwise. That night I called Ruth, my preschool mom friend turned real estate attorney. No hello, no small talk, only, "Do I have any rights left?" She paused, then said, "Margaret, you have more than rights. You have leverage." Ruth explained the partition action. Force a sale or payout when co-owners split. A door I'd never seen swung open. We filed the petition quietly. No warnings to Dennis or Sienna. Let the court speak. I'd wasted enough words already. Papers were served 2 days later while they posed for beach selfies. I pictured the disbelief on his face and felt oddly calm. Sometimes relief sounds like a judge's stamp, not an apology. Dennis called 5 times that night. I let each ring fade to voicemail. His first message was confused. The last almost panicked. But panic is contagious only if you answer. So I didn't. Instead, I brewed chamomile and watched desert stars online. Silence tasted sweet for the first time in months. Fear still fluttered in me. Legal wars aren't cheap or kind. But humiliation was heavier than fear. And Ruth held the map. "I don't want revenge," I told her. "Just what's mine." She replied, "Then we'll take it." With grace and teeth, her faith steadied my spine. The date was set. 60 days for them to buy me out or move. Tick-tock. I circled the deadline on a calendar kept just for this. Each X felt like sweeping dust off a forgotten shelf. Momentum is a quiet engine once it starts, and Dennis couldn't find the brake. Dennis flooded my inbox with guilt trip letters. Sienna added patronizing notes. "This isn't fair to Sienna," he wrote, as if fairness had lived in our marriage. I created a folder called Nice Try and filed every plea untouched. Responding would feed their fire. Silence starved it, and every unread message built another brick in my backbone. Sienna texted, "I know older women feel threatened." I almost laughed while watering succulents. Age wasn't the issue. Ownership was. They'd invaded the life I built, mistaking my quiet for consent. But quiet had become my strategy. Ruth kept me focused. Eyes on the paperwork, not the circus. So I took walks, baked banana bread, learned watercolor. Small acts of self-care felt like rebellion, while the clock ticked in a courtroom they couldn't charm. Every sunset whispered, "Hold steady." Dennis tried nostalgia next. Photos of our kids, playlists from the 90s, emotional blackmail wrapped in throwbacks. I replied once, "Please contact my attorney." It felt like closing a door without slamming it. Dignity speaks quietly but carries weight. A courier arrived with flowers. The card reading, Let's settle this over dinner. I donated the bouquet to a nursing home and kept the card as proof. They still believed sentiment could buy my silence, but they underestimated a woman whose patience had run out. The hearing was brisk. Dennis skipped it, sending a weary lawyer alone. Ruth spoke for me while I breathed like it was a dentist visit. The judge granted partition. Sell the house or pay me half. 60 days. My signature came out shaky. Proof I was human. But shaky lines still make binding contracts. Back home I made tea and stared at mountain wallpaper. Ruth called. You won. Not about money, about being seen. For years my voice felt like background noise. Now it was on record. Victory can be as soft as steam curling from a mug. Soft, but undeniable. Days passed. No buyout. No plan. Only silence. I listed the house at full price. Harper, a young realtor, handled it and walked each room like sacred ground. The walls have stories, she said. More than you know, I thought. 2 weeks later, an expectant couple offered full asking. Keys would change hands. Memories would stay with me. Dennis rang, desperate to negotiate. I let it ring, imagining tick-tock echoing through empty halls. Deadlines don't barter. Closing day, I wore a soft sweater and a steady smile. Dennis absent. Sienna too. Lawyers signed, wires cleared. $370,000 in an account with only my name. I touched the kitchen counter once more and closed the door gently. Closure can be gentle when you choose it. I kept a photo of my boys, my mother's quilt, and the good china. Everything else belonged to yesterday. No tears, just a long exhale I'd held for decades. The air outside tasted like possibility. A cheap motel became my temporary nest. Clean sheets, no history. I read novels, took bubble baths, let the phone stay dark. Rest felt radical after years of anxiety. Healing sometimes sounds like nothing at all. When I finally slept through the night, I knew I was ready. I opened a map and picked New Mexico. Wide skies, no memories. Freedom looks different for everyone. Mine looked like desert sunrise and my name alone on a deed. And now I have to ask you, what would you do if someone tried to erase you from your own home? Tell me in the comments. I read every word. Your voice matters here. Packing was easy. Starting fresh felt lighter than staying stuck. I drove west with lavender oil on a tissue, and the radio low. Each mile whispered, forward, and regret was nowhere in the car. The condo keys jingling in my pocket were proof. New Mexico greeted me with peach skies and quiet streets. My condo was small, bright, and entirely mine. No shared closets, no ghost memories hiding in corners. Space to breathe, space to become. Mornings began with coffee and birds on the balcony. No cold silences over breakfast. Just sunlight on a new mug. I learned watercolor. And the library club loved my banana bread more than my past. Being known for laughter instead of loss felt like rebirth. People expect revenge stories, but peace was my prize. I didn't want Dennis ruined. I wanted him irrelevant. Quiet days, honest sleep, food I liked. Luxuries disguised as ordinary. A notification pinged. Dennis's name. He sounded tired, apologetic, alone. I blocked the number with a sigh, not anger. Freedom includes choosing who can reach you. Ruth texted. He was couch surfing, job gone. Sienna vanished offline. Karma travels quietly but carries luggage. I poured tea, whispered a prayer, and returned to my paintbrush. His storm was no longer my forecast. Dennis's messages shifted from casual to desperate. Let's catch up. I miss how simple life was. Simple for whom? I left each word unread. Silence can be loud. Ignoring him honored me. Through a neighbor, I learned he pawned his watch to pay rent. The house money he expected never came. Actions echo, even when you pretend they won't. The echo finally reached him. Relief, not revenge, filled me. I saved one voicemail. His voice cracked on, I'm sorry. Not to cherish it, but to remember where I came from. Pain documented becomes power archived. Ruth didn't even smile. She just looked at me and said, silent justice. The sweetest kind. We clinked coffee cups. No champagne needed. Satisfaction like soft lighting. $370,000 sat humming with possibility. Instead of shopping sprees, I listened to my heart remembering overdue bills and silent tears. Money can't buy love, but it can fund escape routes. Other women needed a map. I donated $50,000 anonymously to a legal fund for women over 50. One signature, one lifeline. Ruth teared up. You're building exits. Pain recycled into purpose feels lighter. Legacy grows in old wounds. The fund invited me to speak. Public speaking terrified me more than courtrooms. But purpose whispered louder than fear. I packed my quilted courage and agreed. The microphone awaited, hands trembling, voice steady. I told my tale. Betrayal, silence, paperwork, lavender, silent justice. The room held its breath. Pain sounds similar in any accent. A woman my age hugged me. I thought it was too late. Her words melted years of doubt. Outside under a wide sky, I told my younger self we made it. Sunset painted everything gold, even the scars. Scars become constellations on the skin. Survival used to mean staying quiet. Now I know survival is only the beginning. Living is choosing when to speak, what to release, and where to plant new roots. I didn't win by fighting loud. I won by letting go wisely. Dennis is a closed page. Sienna, a footnote. My real companions are quiet mornings and coffee steam. Peace doesn't announce itself. It simply stays. I keep Harper's mug, white with black letters. Unbothered and paid. Every Friday at sunrise I sip and remember. I didn't get even. I got free. Freedom tastes like strong coffee and fresh air. So if you're waiting for permission to start over, this is it. Take your quiet, your papers, your courage, and step out. Close the door gently. Walk on proudly. And never underestimate a quiet woman with a deed. And now, it's your turn to reclaim your story. Some people leave love with nothing. I left with a deed, a story, and my name back. Real strength isn't staying silent forever. It's choosing the right moment to speak. If this story touched you, leave a like, subscribe, and share with anyone who needs hope. And tell me, have you ever carried a pain no one else could see? Drop it in the comments. I read every story. Where are you watching from? Let me know below. Until next time, stay strong, stay gentle, and never underestimate a quiet woman with a story.